Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Hardcore Wrestling Rants. I am your hardcore host, Rickhead, and I'm joined by the hardcore crew. First, he's the Lord Skeleton himself, Joseph Knight. Joe, what's shaking?
Nothing much. Weather's starting to get cold where I am, but not looking forward to the winter.
Yeah, unfortunate. This is shit, I'm going to tell you. Wrestling is going crazy, but of course, let me know. Wow, let me get the tongue twister out of here. I've been fucking up. This is what happens when you smoke weed, folks. Then we have the incomparable Lance Moss over at Lance Moss TV. Lance, what's going on?
Not too much. Got coffee and let's have some fun.
All right. Well, last Wednesday, Dynamite had a shocker of a night, and not really a good one. Jeff Jarrett appeared on the show. And hold on. Well, I know, Joe, you're going to rant, but here's something that you might want to you're going to hear. Last week's ratings, went down because of Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, fucking course.
Joe, over to you.
All right. First of all, this is Jeff Jarrett. I'll do anything for a sandwich. This guy, man, when you want to talk about scruples, he has none. This guy, I can't believe he begs for jobs everywhere. And you know what? That's cool. You know what? Everybody needs to work. And you know, that's commendable. But my God, why would any other company want to hire this idiot constantly is beyond me. The way I see him, you know, he's not. His father, Jerry Jarrett, was a great promoter in the Memphis territory. And anybody living in the Memphis territory, Lance, you should know when you mention Jerry Jarrett, you know wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, his son never followed into that. You know,
and to be honest, when Vince had the steroid trial, who did Vince bring in to run the company if he would have went down?
Yep,
Jerry Jarrett.
Jerry Jarrett, absolutely. You know, so Rick, this guy's destroyed TNA wrestling. He destroyed WCW. He lost to freaking China.
Which, and lost GCW.
And lost GCW, which never drew a dime in the first place. So this guy just was recently in the WWE. You know, he did all of this stuff, and now he's with the Black Cap. He's popped up on AEW. I think he begged for the job and say, "Look, guys, Karen is driving me wild. She needs some more high heels. Can you hire me at least so I don't have to keep getting paid in food stamps?" So that's what Jeff Jarrett is all about. Nothing personal against the man, but he is not even the same league as his dad, and never even a great entertainer. He was lucky to be in the positions he was in.
Yeah, you know, I mean, unfortunately, like I said, he just did not follow in his father's footsteps. And everywhere he's gone, he's either been a joke. Well, actually, I guess there's no other thing, a joke or a failure. I guess whichever one you want to pick.
Let's lump them in together with both. That makes it easier.
Fair enough. Well, we're gonna move on to 25 years ago today. There was the historic Montreal screw job, where, if guys you don't know or are either too young to know, this was during the Monday Night Wars, where WCW was really starting to beat the shit out of WWE and stealing all of their talent. Now, Bret Hart was getting ready to go over to WCW, and Vince McMahon told him that he wanted to lose in Montreal. But Bret Hart, whether it be his pride or self-righteousness or entitlement, whatever you want to call it, said, "No, I can't do that. No, I can't do that." And reluctantly, he eventually agreed to do it. So, long story short, he faced Shawn Michaels for the WWF World Championship. Michaels had him in Bret Hart's own sharpshooter, and Vince was at ringside, and he automatically told the ref to ring the bell, and the match was over. So obviously, fans were pissed off. Bret Hart was huge, very pissed off and spit in McMahon's face. And it pretty much went down even behind the scenes where what it said is that Bret Hart wanted to speak to McMahon for 5 minutes alone. He got one punch in, and that was pretty much it. So, Joe, you remember that, like historical moment.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, back in the day, I was sitting in my living room with a bunch of us guys we just did a wrestling show, and they were all camped out in the living room floor, and we were watching the pay-per-view when this happened. Now, I got to correct you on a couple of things. Well, number one, Bret never agreed to drop the belt in Montreal, nowhere in Canada. He said he would drop it in the following Monday Night Raw back in the States, or he would give up the belt in the States. That's what he said. Now, the major significance from this was, too, in the locker room, Bret did not want to talk to Vince. He did not want to talk to Vince. Well, Vince, Shane, and Pat Patterson came into the Bret Hart's locker room, and Bret Hart, of course, around with many of his contemporaries like Davey Boy Smith, Owen Hart, and all that, didn't want to see Vince. It was the Undertaker who convinced Vince, maybe in a rough way, go fix this problem with Bret. So Vince actually had to go to Bret's locker room and try to talk to him. Bret was taking a shower, saw Vince, and said, "Hey, if you're not out of here by the time I'm done, I'm going to knock you out." Well, Vince, given the big balls that he has, he stood there and waited for Bret to come out, and it started with a scuffle, and next thing you know, they were in collar and elbow lockups, and Bret gave him a fierce uppercut that took him off his feet, dropped him to the floor. Now, there's so many other issues here. There's a lot of they say that Shane jumped on Bret's back, which forced Davey and Owen to pull him off. I think it was broken up finally by Sergeant Slaughter, Pat Patterson, and a couple others. And Bret said that's it, and it was done. And there's so much, Rick, that this went down so wrong. But looking at it, going back, it all could have been just resolved easily if they would have had just put Bret in a tag match with, I don't know, Davey or somebody, and have Shawn team up with Diesel, Kevin Nash at the time. Oh, no, correct. I'm sorry, because Kevin Nash wasn't there, with Hunter. And they could have done a tag match, then taken it to Raw and have the belt dropped. But also, I got to take Vince's side, too. You're the promoter. That's your belt. Nobody, and I'm going to break kayfabe here, nobody legally wins a belt. Okay, so Bret was in the wrong. It was handled wrong. Bret, but, it's handled wrong on everybody. But Rick, do you know what was the major significant, the one thing that came out of this, besides this being the famous screw job?
Okay.
Vince McMahon became the evil corporate head Vince McMahon character, Mr. McMahon, which with that, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, Shawn Michaels started the Attitude Era. So what Bret didn't want to, if Bret didn't do all this bullshit, the evil Mr. McMahon would have never been born.
Well, okay, I'm not sure about that. I'd like to take this time to introduce a very good friend of ours. He's from WGS TV, Billy Boudreaux. Billy, what's going on?
Hey, guys, it's been a long time. How y'all doing?
Doing great. Glad to have you here. So we're talking about, obviously, the Montreal Screwjob. What's your take on that whole situation?
Well, Joe, I don't like to disagree with you on a couple of things, but I have to disagree with you on one thing about the tag match thing, considering the fact that this event was the Survivor Series. This is one of the big four pay-per-views at the time. I don't think just a generic tag match would have been sufficient to build for a main event on a big four pay-per-view. They had to have something significant, and the title at that time was significant. Now, do I agree with the way they did it? No, because like you guys have said, there are better ways that it could have been done. But it's more convoluted than CM Punk versus the Elite, if you kind of know what I'm saying.
All right, Lance, over to you. You're the king of controversies. What's your take?
Well, half the time I can't tell if it was a work or a shoot because, okay, Bret Hart is from a long line of a long wrestling family. What would Stu Hart have done if somebody would have said, "Oh yeah, my last night I'm not dropping the belt"? Stu probably would have done the same damn thing.
Well, you know what's funny, Lance? He would have probably said, "I'm gonna take you to the dungeon and stretch you. I'm gonna stretch you." And he'll probably keep someone in there until the guy says, okay, I'll drop the belt. Yeah, I thought you see my way.
No, thank you. I don't like being a pretzel.
By the way, welcome back, Billy. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
I'm doing just fine.
All right, we're going to move on here. Apparently, WrestleVotes has the inclination that not only will John Cena appear at WrestleMania 39, but they believe he's going to also wrestle. Now, I read that, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? John Cena will make plenty of money just to show up. He doesn't need to wrestle. I mean, Billy, help me out here. What are these pricks thinking?
I don't know. I mean, there are some sites out there right now that are just like super uber markish. They believe in their own hype, which is guilty of some people in wrestling today that they believe in their own hype. Hi, Chris Jericho. How are you? But John Cena doesn't need to wrestle. John Cena is an established name. He's an established person in entertainment. He's essentially a knockoff version of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, even though he's less famous. But he doesn't, he doesn't need to wrestle. Now, more than likely, if he wants to wrestle, he'll do it. But that's all on Cena. If he wants to wrestle, he'll do it. But nobody's going to make him do it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Joe, over to you. I think the only way Cena might wrestle is if the price is right. And I'm not even sure, he would, like I said before, he's going to make the money just by appearing, if he does so.
You know what? He's content with doing commercials, movies, and other things. Reese, I just saw him in the commercial today it's a new commercial and he was on it. So now ask me what the commercial was. I don't remember, but
Experian Boost.
Yes. Thank you, Billy. But when you look at this scenario, the man doesn't need it. He can host WrestleMania and that'll be content for him. Yeah, give me a couple good dollars and I'll show up. That's the best way to say this. The way these guys are today, they really don't need wrestling. Look at The Rock. Look at, Cena. There's Batista. These guys are definitely not interested in getting bumped around the ring for some chump change where they can make some big money appearing in a movie or commercial. So Cena, I don't see him returning. If he does return for one match, I will be very surprised. But then again, if the right money is tossed your way, I don't see him even turning that down if the right money was put. And if it's a one-time deal for maybe under 5-minute match, I don't see an issue.
All right, Lance, what's your take on this whole nonsense?
If he does, I'll go take a shit during that match.
Don't hold back, Lance. Tell us how you really feel.
Well, there's one thing I would like to say really quickly, that sometimes it could not be about the money. He could be seeing someone. I'm not sure who would be on the roster today, but he could. The choice could be that he would want to work with someone and that he feels is a good natural talent and put that talent over to help further cement this person more in the company than they already are.
You know what, Billy? Rick, if I could chime in real quick, I'm going to toss two names at you, Billy. What do you think of if what you just said, and the two wrestlers that quickly came to mind is Karrion Kross and Austin Theory.
Austin Theory can. This is a plus 18 podcast, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Austin Theory can suck a dick, and you know he's a pedophile. So I really don't care if he works with John Cena or not. In fact, I really don't care if he's in the company. In fact, I'm glad that Monday Night Raw made him look like a chump at the main event when he lost the Money in the Bank briefcase. I'm glad they did that. Now, Karrion Kross is, I'm going to say this right now, Kross is legit.
Okay.
Hands down. You know, he doesn't, I don't think he would need to work with anybody to prove that he's legit. I mean, he has done some awesome stuff in NXT. Now, when they first brought him up to the main roster, Vince, you know, being senile the way he was, tried to make him look like the weirdest member of Demolition. I'm pretty sure Axe and Smash somewhere were just going like, hey, that's a good idea. But ever since they brought him back, they needed not only him, but they also needed Scarlett to make the gimmick work. And when they are together, it works. And Karrion Kross, in the ring, he is legit. Him and Cena would be a good match. You know, hands down, I believe it would.
I'm not sure if I would agree with you, but I mean, I think if that would be the case, Kross would definitely have to be the one that goes over. Nevertheless,
yeah, because Cena wouldn't need it. Cena wouldn't need the win.
True, but you know, sometimes with WWE, you know, you're not really sure if they want to go for the popularity as opposed to giving the push. You know, look at Logan Paul for crying out fucking loud. You know, he got a title match in 3 days. He has 3 matches.
No comment.
His knee exploded.
Yes, we will be talking about that very shortly. I do want to move over to Bill. You mentioned about Theory losing the Money in the Bank. Apparently, as you know, it was the main event. He cashed in during Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins' match. I think he was trying to pull a Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, but unfortunately, he swung and missed.
But here's the problem with that, and this is something, if you remember, our old friend, the Studley Man, Ashley, brought up to me when we were watching it. According to WWE rules and guidelines, and apparently there's a website where it is, the Money in the Bank briefcase can only be cashed in on a world championship. It cannot be cashed in on a secondary championship, because technically the United States Championship is considered a secondary title on Monday Night Raw. But and I would not be surprised to see, like, either on SmackDown or Monday Night Raw next week, that they give the briefcase back to Austin Theory, because technically he didn't use it correctly.
Well, I agree with, you know, I'm sure at Studley Man Ashley, he's always one with all the facts. However, if you listen to commentary on Crown Jewel, they even said, it was, of course, Michael Cole, and went back and forth. He goes, there's no contract or no written saying that you have to go for the title. He can go for any other title. So they made it very blatantly clear that he's not going for the main title. You know, unfortunately, that's WWE for you. They tip their hand, and it's just one of those things. But the funny thing,
if they were going to do that, then what was the whole purpose of having Austin Theory come out on NXT and tease that he was going to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase on Braun Breaker, the NXT champion?
You know what? Again, that was a teaser.
Rick, I just looked up the concept and history of the Money in the Bank so we could get this done. According to WWE, it states the Money in the Bank pay-per-view centers around the ladder match. The prize which is a briefcase containing a contract for a championship match. The winner can cash in a contract at any time in any place of their choosing within the next year, beginning with the night they won the briefcase. So they can cash in on any championship they want, according to WWE.
So, which means they fidgeted. At first it was for the World Championship, but unfortunately now they got 15,000 championships in the fucking roster, so somebody had to, you know, cash in and grab some kind of a title.
15,000 championships. Are we talking about AEW now?
AEW has like 4. I mean, WWE, if you can exclude NXT, where they have like 12 or 11, somewhere around there. So
No, I think AEW's got more than WWE. I'm being truthfully honest with you.
really, okay.
No, they just have 3 different organizations
World-
titles.
The World Championship, the Tag Team Championship, the Trios Championship, the TNT Championship, the TBS Championship, the All Atlantic Championship, and the FTW Championship.
That's 8. So
Yeah.
but also, let's the funny thing about this whole story is there are people in the back that still have confidence in Austin Theory. That sounds to me like he's just patting on the head. It's okay, kid. You'll get him next time. That's how I saw. That's how I read the article. That was my concept. So I don't know. Like I said, Theory should have gotten the Money in the Bank briefcase to begin with. I think that was just he's just now aligned a small. He's a part of a few content people who've lost. So moving on. Nick Aldis is. Yeah, I was. Hey, come on. Nick Aldis took to Instagram where he announced that he has given his notice to NWA Power. Over the past several months, Nick Aldis has had a rocky relationship with NWA owner Billy Corgan, and now it looks like Aldis is outright done. Aldis' contract with NWA will end in January of 2023. Earlier today, Billy Corgan announced that Aldis has been suspended for the company for his comments. Lance, over to you.
Well, he's either going to get that's either going to be longer than 2023 or January 2023, because depending on how it's worded, because he's suspended, it could pause that and it could be longer, like say April or May, because some contracts work like that. Or, well, no disrespect to the NWA, but
if Billy Corgan's running NWA, then that is major disrespect to NWA. As long as Billy Corgan is running it, it's disrespectful.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Billy, again, so what's your thoughts on Nick Aldis and getting suspended, saying he's done with the company publicly?
I don't blame him, because I remember a time, and Joe, I'm pretty sure you also remember a time when the NWA actually meant something in the world of professional wrestling. And these days it is basically now considered, from the way I view it and the way other people view it, worse than Impact Wrestling. I mean, look who's going for the title right now. It's fucking Tyrus. I recently just watched one of his matches. It was some of the worst shit I have ever seen in my life. And Billy Corgan has got confidence in Tyrus being a world champion. As far as Billy Corgan goes, he is a fucking mark running a company. He needs to be shut down, and the NWA needs to be run by somebody who actually knows what they're doing. Billy Corgan has got no fucking clue what he's doing.
Well, you know what, Joe? I think you and I pretty much said the same thing when he's running Impact.
Yeah, he's like Dixie Carter .2. You know, the best year of the NWA was Jim Crockett Promotions. That was the pinnacle of the NWA. Today's NWA doesn't mean squat. They're not on a major network. They're stream channeling, and if they can do that, eventually the money's going to run out. But what they pay their wrestlers, that anybody can, they can hire the guy who works at McDonald's to fucking work there. It's never been anything after Jim Crockett sold to Ted Turner. That company died out. Now there are other marks who would invest $500, guys. Anybody who's $500 and wants to do a wrestling show can pay the NWA board, or Billy Corgan in this case, and have them be an affiliate of the NWA. So I remember a conversation I had. This was back in 2013. We were doing my show, our wrestling shows. We came off with a successful show. I believe it was Mario Savodi from the old IWCCW. he contacted me, and he was on part with the he was on part with the NWA and says, "Oh, if you want to be part of the NWA, we'd love to have you. You guys don't look like you know what you're doing. Just pay $500 and you'll be NWA, whatever." And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? For what? That doesn't bring prestige. That doesn't bring anything. And then you got to pay for their world champion to show up. Fuck that. The NWA is long dead. It's just a glorified indie company right now. And there's so many glorified indie companies. Impact is one of them. That it doesn't make sense to even worry about this company. It's basically right now on the shelf. I don't even know if they even do shows. And if they're giving Tyrus, out of all fucking people, a championship belt, the guy who was a fucking funkadactyl, then boy, your standards low. And I thought they were low when they had what's his name, Trevor Murdoch on there.
He is a shell of his former self, as if he was any good. He was good when he worked with Lance Cade in WWE. It's Cade and Murdoch. They were pretty solid as a tag team, but Trevor Murdoch today is just...
Yeah, he would never be like Dick Murdoch, the Texas redneck Dick Murdoch. So he would be nowhere. He was nowhere near that level. By himself, he tried to be a badass, and I looked at one day the NWA roster, because I was curious. I just happened to had a brain thought. My brain decided, let's look at this. And you know what, Rick? Their workers look so shitty that it makes AEW Dark look like a WrestleMania type show. You know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, again, that's just, somebody thought that NWA brand would, escalate them higher, and it just made, pretty much look like a shit stain. Lance, over to you. Your thoughts.
Well, NWA, let's face it, the old girl ain't what she used to be. But, well, he's either going to one of two things. Long-term vacation till he can go somewhere else, or going and fuck his wife, and who wouldn't want to fuck Mickey James?
No shit, hell. I would. All right, guys. Moving on. Speaking of Billy Corgan, apparently he's in some heat regarding some recent statements. Apparently he's been holding off the Empower 2, which is the all-women pay-per-view, and this is pretty much why he said he's holding off. We continue to do it. We continue to have discussions with other companies about working together to create a fresh Empower event. When you create a world-class event like Empower, it has to be a world-class event. We've set very high standards, and you should expect that. Of course, there are plenty of great professional women wrestlers in the world. And he pretty much finished up with saying, everyone has their own version of it. This is my version, and this is why I'm still on the shelf with it. Until we provide world-class event with some of the best female pro wrestlers in the world, then we won't do it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the way I took it, is him saying is that his own female wrestlers aren't good enough to have a major pay-per-view. Joe, help me out here.
Oh, his male wrestlers ain't as good as the female wrestlers. They might as well go hire a bunch of midgets, or small people, for you politically correct bullshitters out there.
I thought this was a rated 18+ podcast.
No, Lance, hit them with the email again.
It's joe@scoldensdrum.com.
Anytime you hear that, Billy, you know we're up Schitt's Creek, and I haven't really. There's not a topic yet besides the Jeff Jarrett thing that really angered me. So we're holding out pretty good right now. But hell, his regular workers are not up to par compared to the women roster. At least when you have Mickey James, you have Mickey James, you have a couple other girls. you know, they are, at least something. But right now, no. Honestly, I don't think that they have it.
Well, let me cut in here for a sec, Joe. Let me ask you this: you've been a promoter. Would you even consider saying publicly that your female wrestlers aren't good enough to have their own show?
Never. You would never go out of your way and say your talent is shitty.
So,
period.
And that's where he has heat. A lot of women in the back are pissed off for the obvious reasons. Billy, your thoughts?
When you are the head of the company and you publicly say something like that, you're basically saying that you have no confidence in your own talent. And what that does to the people who work under you is that demoralizes them, that humiliates them and angers them, saying like, how dare you not defend us? How dare you say disparaging remarks about us? We are supposed to be working for you and you are not backing us up. I wouldn't be surprised if every one of the female wrestlers in that promotion, I say promotion, walked right out on Billy Corgan. I would not blame them one bit.
Yeah, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Lance, over to you.
Well, should he have said what he said? No. But holding off on a show like this till he can get the talent he wants for said show, not a bad idea. Shouldn't have said what he said, but not a bad idea.
By the way, real quick, Rick, I am going to throw this out there. Billy Corgan does have a pay-per-view, an NWA pay-per-view called Hard Times.
It's Hard Time, baby.
Yeah. Well, let me go through this. All right. It's actually, let me pull it up. It's on November 12th and 13th.
I'll try to contain my laughter.
Yeah. The only thing, now I'm looking at some of these matches. They have Matt Cardona in here. That's fighting Tyrus and Trevor Murdoch for the world title. They have a couple, I'm looking at some of these women and some of the people, and they got Davey Richards, which is a good talent. But what caught my eye, here, I'm going to go back to this. They have the NWA national title, okay? National title. And it is Dak Dapper. He's going up against somebody called Cylon from, I thought Cylons were from Battlestar Galactica. And guess who's in his corner, Lance? The one and only Austin Idol.
The Universal Hot Throb.
Yep. And Ricky Morton's on his show. His son Kerry is going up against Homicide, and they got a couple other matches. I'm looking at all of this matches, and some of the people on here are with an exceptional fuel. Now I can't talk. Thank you.
Can we pour fuel on Billy Corgan?
Yeah, they should be pulling fuel on this whole thing here. If they were the smart play, you want to throw the title on Matt Cardona because he deserves it. They brought back the original looking belts.
No.
We're talking about the original NWA 80s belts and 70s belts.
Yeah, Sweet Charlotte.
Yep. So they got those belts that are in this show. The only reason I looked this up, and it was just to see if there was anybody in this company that had a saving grace. And for this world title, the only thing I could think of is Matt Cardona in here. They got a couple people that I would personally use, EC3, some others. The Sinister Minister and James Mitchell is in here. Davey Richards, who's really good. Homicide, of course, because he was with me many years ago. But my God, you go down this list and you look at the rest of the talent. It's just, and if you guys are interested, go to the nationalwrestlingalliance.com. You'll see all this. You'll see all the matches there for this. If you want to spend If you want to buy this pay-per-view, you have a choice: buy this pay-per-view or go to Starbucks for coffee. I prefer Starbucks.
Nice, very nice. All right, we're gonna move on. Now, this Logan Paul suffered a torn meniscus, MCL, and potentially ACL at Crown Jewel during his match against Roman Reigns. Too fucking bad. I'm sorry. Paul will be out for 3 to 6 months. I wish it was longer, pending on how serious the tear is. Now, Lance, I'm going to just say this. I have no respect for Logan Paul. Yeah, he did some great moves, this and that, but being at going for a world title shot 3 matches in, where there's so many other wrestlers who's deserved and wanting a shot, are just gotten stepped over. This is a celebrity match, Lance.
Absolutely. I personally think the only reason his dumbass was in there is because the 2 people they originally wanted in there, Cody or Randy Orton, are both hurt. So they only had one other option: go with something to give them a little bit of a notoriety. And well, his knee is fucked, because let's face it, it basically exploded when he did that frog splash from the top rope onto that table. That has to be it, because anywhere else, he didn't have any impact on his knee.
Yeah. Well, and again, it just shows that, this guy is completely inexperienced. Billy, I'm going to kick this one over to you. All right. What's your thoughts, and who do you think who should replace Logan Paul? I'll give you that one, but I'll give you your rant first.
Well, first off, the only real reason Logan Paul was in that match to begin with is because the Saudi prince wanted him there. That's why he was in the title match. He wanted Logan Paul and Roman Reigns in the main event of his Saudi show, and they had to give it to him, considering what's happened to him in the WWE in the past when they didn't give Saudi what they wanted. What did they do? They grounded all the airplanes and kept people over in Saudi Arabia longer than they needed to be. But I want to say this: Logan Paul, in my mind, was okay. Now, was he spectacular? No, but he did do some spectacular things. But, gentlemen, I do have a little bit of bad news, because I've seen a match graphic for this. You're not going to like this. I don't know if it can be confirmed, but what I have seen is for WrestleMania Goes Hollywood next year, tag team title match, the Usos against Logan and Jake Paul.
Well, I'll make a shit breakdown that.
Yeah.
That WrestleMania.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you know what? You're speculating that, because by that time the Usos have probably got their 15 DUI, and they will have to take off at least a day to just clean up.
Well, all right, Joe, since you kicked in, what's your thoughts on Logan Paul, and who should have faced Roman Reigns?
Well, you know what's funny? I was watching a little bit of that Saudi show that they had, and they had 2 camels side by side. They kneeled down. I thought it was Dolly Parton at the event. And another thing is, I thought it, since it was Halloween, that there was a lot of people dressed up like ghosts, but that was a different thing. But
Nope.
Go ahead, Lance. So, whatever the Saudis want, they get. So in this case, they asked for it, they got it. He's a decent guy in the ring. I won't give him anything. Was he too early to get a title match? Absolutely, but money talks. And in this case, who are they really going to give a chance to? There's no one in the company they can give a chance to take down Roman Reigns. I'm surprised the Saudi government didn't ask for Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair to appear, because they're still in the past when it comes to that.
Hell, they've asked for Yokozuna and Macho Man in the past.
Oh, it's easy to put someone in sunglasses and go, oh, yeah, and you got Macho Man. So that's pretty much, I think, who was it that I once said Elias could be Macho Man? He could have pulled it off too.
I think there was a couple of years ago. I think he actually did that for like a spoof.
Yeah. No, that was Damian Sandow.
Oh, it was Damian Sandow. Okay, well, all right, thank you. But I'm pretty sure that I think Elias would have pulled it off better. But honestly, when you look at some of the roster, you could have picked anybody else. I mean, I would have picked Dolph Ziggler for crying out loud, even though he would have lost. But, just a wrestler who at least said, when do I get his shot? Now, would he beat Roman Reigns? I think we can all agree that Roman Reigns is going to have the title for at least maybe until WrestleMania, if we're lucky.
Yeah.
So, Lance, final words.
Fuck you, Logan Paul.
All right. Now we're going to move on to our last topic. I want to give an update on Dustin Rhodes. He talked recently he gave an update on his knee surgery. He's talked about his future in AEW. In short, he pretty much said he's going to be back in a couple of weeks, but he's still has a little bit less than a year with AEW. But at the end of the day, it's a young man's game, and I think that's pretty much a sign of him saying he's getting ready to at least exit as a wrestler. He is 53 years old. Joe, your thoughts?
Well, goddamn, I'm 53 years old, so.
Are you still wrestling?
Only with my wife.
Okay, well, that doesn't count.
It counts to me, damn it.
Is it gonna be on pay-per-view?
It's real to him, damn it.
As long as she's pinning my shoulders down, I'm okay. The main thing, I think, Dustin's making the right move. If he retires, he's already accomplished way too much in his career. Unfortunately, the biggest thing in his career will be the Goldust gimmick. He really didn't do anything. He really wasn't well received as Dustin Rhodes. You can even tell with today, he still wears the partial Goldust look. So that's going to be his only big play in wrestling, and that's okay. He's made money from it. He's became a superstar with the gay homophobic gimmick. But hey, if it works and you got a big paycheck, that's all that matters. And that's all they're not going to remember him teaming in with his dad against Bunkhouse Buck and Dick Slater. They're going to remember him as Goldust. So if it's time for him to retire, I think it's a smart play. No one wants to go out like Ric Flair. At the point, like looking like shit. Who can't even do
I
shit.
made the mistake of watching that.
Yeah, and your eyes will never recover from that moment.
But can I respond to what you said?
Go ahead.
The reason why the Goldust gimmick is going to be more remembered than anything he did as Dustin Rhodes is Goldust was on a more, I want to say, on a larger scale audience with WWF than he ever was in WCW. It was more mainstream than WCW ever did. Because let's be honest, we could all agree WCW at those times was a complete mess. There was so much bad booking going on in there. Dusty Rhodes was probably the only person in the late 80s who actually had a decent mind when it came to booking talent and booking matches in the NWA, bar the Crockett Productions and Cowboy Bill Watts. I don't want to say anything disparaging about Bill Watts because he might come back alive and come kick my ass. But
or haunt you.
Or haunt me. But WWF at that time, it was more mainstream. There were more cohesive storylines involving the Goldust character and the Goldust gimmick. What did they do with Dustin Rhodes in WCW? First off, they tried to pass him off as this gimmick 7. And it was a complete bomb from day one. And you could tell it was a bomb from day one because Dustin even broke character from the first day he came out in the arenas as 7. Now, would 7 have potential? We'll never know. We'll never know what the potential for that character was supposed to be, considering the fact that Dustin Rhodes took it upon himself to break that character. And that's how bad WCW is, or was at the time. You can just go out there and see what you want. And if you want to break character, who's going to stop you? Absolutely no one. Eric Bischoff had no control. Vince Russo lost his goddamn mind. And that's evident when he put the title on David Arquette, even though he still stands by that as one of the most talked about things in wrestling, Vince Russo could also join Austin Theory in sucking a dick.
Speaking about dicks, you want to hear something funny, Rick?
Okay.
I'm watching our podcast, making sure,
Yeah.
monitoring it on YouTube, and the closed captions are hilarious.
You're kidding me. Jesus Christ.
The closed captions, when we said Bunkhouse Buck and Dick Slater, it looked like it said Bunkhouse Buck Dicks Slater. So,
Damn.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Somebody's
So like
getting it
walking
up there.
away.
Well, that's YouTube for you.
Yeah, see, it just did it again. It's like, okay, it just did something about somebody's protruding dicks in whatever. I'm like, fucking Christ! Look, Jesus Christ is a closed captioned. And Dick Slater, look at that. Bunkhouse Bucks at Dick's Slater.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, just take a time, everybody. Go back and look at the captions. And it is the most hilarious thing. Closed captions never got it right to begin with. I especially love it when that girl who does the sign language for the president, and she's just wiggling her hands. How do you know she's not saying "fuck you" to the old man, like in multiple different ways? But yeah, take a chance and look at it. I found that funny. We were talking about this. See, Bucks at Dick Slater's house and Jesus Christ. That's literally just popped up.
All right. Let's continue on with this madness. Lance, over to you. Your thoughts on Dustin Rhodes possibly retiring?
Well, I mean, like y'all said, he's been in this business since the 80s. And that's what, 3-4 decades, something like that?
Roughly about that, yes.
In this business, that's a long damn time.
Yeah.
And he, honestly, except for this knee injury, he never lost a step.
Last comment. Sting is 63 years old, and that crazy fucker jumped off an entrance tunnel at AEW Forbidden Door.
Yeah, but I think, again, in Sting's case, he's only wrestling very, very few and far between. I mean, I think it's more there for probably, I guess you can say, help with Darby Allin's character development, I guess, or maybe just to help push Darby Allin, so to speak. I don't know. That would probably be the best assessment, Joe?
Yes, it is. Sting it's not a guy who needs money. He's made millions being the Stinger during his WCW days. Hell, the man rode out his WCW contract even after WWE bought it, and he made the bad decision of going to WWE and getting so injured that he almost retired completely. So Sting right now is just picking his spots. He knows when his body can go, when it's not, and let's face it, he's just there to help Darby Allin get over. Darby Allin is okay. I think if he would have gained at least a good 50, 60 pounds, put some extra muscle, he would go a little further than what he's doing now. But that's me personally. But I think, Rick, that's all Sting is. He's just picking his spots, know when he wants to wrestle, and is in purely support of Darby Allin. I wouldn't be surprised that they do something where Darby turns against them when they don't no longer need Sting. And Sting can transition as either an agent or backstage creative staff.
And you know what? That's a strong possibility. So, unfortunately, it's one of those things we're just going to have to wait and see. One last topic. I want to give a happy birthday to the Ocho, Chris Jericho, who turned 52 today. Now, right now, he's still an active wrestler. And he's right now the Ring of Honor champion. So, Billy, let's kick it over to you. What's some of your best thoughts or best moments of Chris Jericho?
It was something that Ashley shared with me earlier today, is that Chris Jericho and Vazi did their own rendition of Shut Up and Dance With Me by the Moons. It was so freaking hilarious. The Jericho, he can do basically anything. He can make anything work. He can make a face work. He can make a heel work, even though I think he said it on record that he enjoys playing a heel more than anything. But Jericho is just that. Jericho is money. Because whatever Jericho has done is money. I mean, look at what he's done in the past. he's done the list. He's taken the list of Jericho. He made it work for him. And when the fans just ate it up. A little bit of the bubbly. You even said it, and it just went over. It was golden. That's what Jericho has the ability to do. He knows what to say, he knows when to say it, and he knows how to get it over. That's why Jericho is money. Even at his age right now, I think if Tony Khan has any chance of getting a television deal for Ring of Honor, your champion right now has to be Chris Jericho.
Absolutely. And, on the side note, I'd like to see a Ring of Honor, on a major network. Joe, over to you. Chris Jericho, 52 years old. He's still rocking, pun intended.
Oh, absolutely. Billy said it all. The man is money. Jericho, yes, money. And to pick out a favorite moment of Chris Jericho, there's just literally too many spots to pick out. That's Chris Jericho. The song and dance routine he did with MJF, his time in WCW with Ralphus, his promo with The Rock when he debuted as Y2J, his winning the first version of the unified title at WrestleMania, his ECW days, his Smoky Mountain days. The man has done it all and has stayed completely humble to the business, knows that the business did him well, and he continues to spread that wealth of knowledge to everyone. No matter if he's a babyface or heel, people still sing his Judas theme song. Even I get into when I hear it because it's such a catchy tune. Where else can you go with Chris Jericho? I mean, he's an asset to any company he goes into, even at this advanced age. But again, he's another one, Rick. He picks his spots, and he knows that it's time when his era is coming to an end soon. Retirement's probably going to be staring at him sooner or later, and he knows he has to get some guys over. He got MJF over. He's got Orange Cassidy over. He's got Darby Allin. Wow. I mean, this is a guy who
pretty much any in the inner circle.
Yeah, anybody in the inner
Sammy
circle.
Guevara.
Yeah.
Yep. And this is a guy that's not selfish to get people. I wish more wrestlers were like him, that were willing to help put people over for the sake of the business. So you asked me to give you a great moment in Jericho's history. There's just way too many.
And that's one of the main reasons why I feel that Jericho is money in the wrestling industry. He understands the psychology of it. There's a certain science that you have to understand in the wrestling industry that you actually have to understand. When you understand it, you get it. Jericho has it. He knows it. And he's trying to pass off that knowledge, that psychology of wrestling to the people that he's working with.
Absolutely. He even mentioned last week that Jericho has resigned an extended lease or extended contract with AEW. Apparently, he's going to be doing a lot more in the back. He wants to do production, creative aspects, and a lot of other issues, including, of course, wrestling. Lance, your favorite pick?
Well, this is kind of early in his WWE run, or F at the time, when he called Stephanie McMahon a trailer park trash bag hoe.
I remember that. Oh, my God, yeah.
ECW, every customer welcome.
All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap up this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Rants.
I hate to interrupt, but can I bring up one last thing? And
absolutely.
I'm just going to. Yes, it's been a long time since I've been on the show, and I will say this: I have missed you guys. Lance, to you, the duck is dead. I fried it and I fricasseed it and I marinated it in the Creole seasoning.
You still making Oksana?
Oh, fuck that. But the real thing I wanted to bring up is I recently started watching professional wrestling from Japan, like the great promotions like New Japan, DDT, and there are two promotions that I have really fallen in love with, and it's not because they're Japanese, but I personally believe that they are fantastic talents, is that the women in Stardom and the women in Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. And if you follow AEW, you've already known some of the women from Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. Hikaru Shida, Maki Ito, Amy Sakura, Mei Suruga, they're a tag team right now. Riho, the first AEW Women's World Champion.
She's also the
Tokyo
tiniest.
Joshi.
She's like,
well, if you think she's tiny, you need to see Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. I'm telling you guys, they are legit. They are legit. They are fantastic talents. And I got two people that I actually, I know I'm going to regret saying this, but I kind of have a crush on, because not only do I think they're talented, but also think they're beautiful. One of them, you saw her challenge for the AEW Women's World Championship against Thunder Rosa, and that's Miyu Yamashita. And the other one was
very hot.
The other one is the former prince, in their world title. It's called the Princess Champion. Her name is Shoko Nakajima. She, for her size, I want to say this: she has no wasted motion. There's no hesitation in anything she does in any of her spots, and she is fearless. And she is an amazing talent. I guarantee you, if you guys decide to check out Tokyo Joshi, you will not be disappointed.
All right,
Rick. Before you go off, I forgot one more thing that I want to bring up real quick.
Absolutely.
And this is, we didn't cover Nikki Cross winning the 24/7 title and trashing it.
Oh, finally, yes.
She pulled a Medusa.
Slight correction. Attempted trashing.
No, it went in the trash can.
No, she missed.
Oh.
Well, it's
She
still
missed.
going in the garbage.
Okay, so she botched it.
Yeah.
She botched it, but her heart was in the right place. Thank God that title is gone.
Yeah.
It served its purpose when it did, but it was just a joke. And the greatest 24/7 champion was R-Truth.
Hell yes.
But in this case, thank God, Nikki Cross, thank you for taking the belt and trashing it. There's one person who was upset with her for doing that. It is actually Dana Brooke, who was upset with Nikki Cross for trashing this belt. But again, she says she worked hard.
Yeah, but it's Dana.
She worked hard as that champion just to see Nikki win it and then throw it in the trash. Again, thank you, Nikki Cross.
Yeah, and well, you know what? I don't think really anybody cares about what Dana Brooks thinks. So, but obviously.
Tell that to her tits.
Well, okay, she's got some nice tits, but they're probably hard as a rock the way she's built. But also, this is obviously a show, like I say, like a feud setting up. I see this happen. I don't know about you guys.
No, Dana Brooke, I don't want this to happen, but she's going to be in the War Games match with Asuka, Alexa, and Bianca.
Okay, well.
Yeah, and I don't want it to happen, but who else is there on the roster for them to use? Yeah,
fair point. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Rants. I want to thank our guest and longtime friend, Billy Bujo. You're from WGS TV.
Yep, if people want to check me out on YouTube, I'm at youtube.com/WrestleGamer. You can also check me out live over on twitch.tv/WrestleGamer. For some reason, the people over on Twitch have this sick fascination of trying to scare the crap out of me and making me something about saying that I have an epic girly scream. I don't know what they're talking about. I think it's a bunch of bullshit, but, just come check me out if you ever want to live on twitch.tv/WrestleGamer.
All right. And then, of course, we have the Lord Skelton himself, Joseph Knight. Joe, what do you got going on in Skelton Realms?
I'm going to be playing more retro games tomorrow, and I'll be streaming that. There's just so many. I know everybody's been asking me to continue doing the Zombie Ate My Neighbors. There's a sequel that is basically Ghoul Patrol to that, so I'm going to be following up with that. Also, I want to give a shout-out to BC Games and More, BC and Mrs. A. Always love our show, and they donated some Super Famicom games to me, so I just want to say thank you. Check me out. Just do the hashtag Skullgents Realm. I am on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
And last and certainly not least, it's the incomparable Lance Moss over at Lance Moss TV. Lance, what you got going on over there?
Well, every Tuesday night we go live on Lance Moss TV and friends. We never know who's going to show up. It's where we shoot the shit for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on how the conversation's going. And it's at 7:05 Central, 8:05 Eastern. Come over and have some fun.
And be sure you check us out on our Facebook page, HWR Chat Room, where we pretty much do the latest news, rumors. I put with the babe of the day, what I can. And tonight I will be covering AEW's Dynamite. So again, that's in the group section, HWR Chat Room. So, for the Hardcore Crew, I'm your hardcore host, Rickhead, saying, we'll see you when we see you.
Lance, Lance, put the duck down. Put it down. Put it down now, Lance. Put the duck down.
What's it? Didn't Ernie say that? Put down the ducky?
I don't know.